Hi and welcome. Welcome. Um, if you were guided to this video, I'm so glad you're here. And I'm just gonna say this before I start. So today I'm gonna be talking about my childhood traumas, childhood experiences, the things that I went through in childhood that caused trauma and just how they affected me. I'm just gonna give you like a story, a background. I'm just gonna see how it goes. So there may be some triggers. So trigger warning before this video starts. I may talk about some sensitive topics. So just want to get that out of the way before we begin. Okay. So now that is out of the way, let's get right into it. So Spirit has been wanting me lately to share this. Spirit wants me to share this with you guys, to not just shove all the experiences that I had growing up, to not just keep it to myself. So I'm on here on YouTube, bearing it all, sharing it all with you guys in hopes that it helps to heal the collective, heal the people that is supposed to get to the people that's supposed to get, so you guys can relate and realize that you're not alone and we're all in this together. And childhood trauma is not really things that people really talk about. People just, we like to show the parts of ourselves that has evolved and is healed, right? But nobody really goes back to talk about the deep shit that hurts, the wounds and every of those things. So I've always said that, and Spirit was like, okay, it's your turn now, so you go out and discuss these things. So I'm out here. So yeah, I'm gonna give you a little backstory. It's gonna be like a story time situation. I'm gonna give you a little backstory of like my childhood and all the things that I've experienced. And yeah, okay, so I was born in Germany, and I've not even started. I'm already feeling it, so I'm good. We're doing this. I was born in Germany, the year 96, and the year 90, that same year, we moved to Nigeria, me and my brother. So I grew up in Nigeria. I spent pretty much from a baby. I stayed in Nigeria I lived in Nigeria till the age of 19. And I grew up in a household where it was like it was my grandma, my aunties, 2 aunties, and an uncle that lived there. It was like my granddad's house. And they pretty much raised me. They pretty much raised me, look after me and my brother. My brother is no longer here. He's passed on. But yeah, they pretty much raised us and looked after us. And it was an interesting upbringing. It was interesting in the sense that some parts of my childhood they're really they're not pretty. I would use that word. They're not pretty. They're not the parts that I like to talk about and share. But I'm really tapping into vulnerability and being vulnerable and not just shoving that part away and wanting to just embrace it all and bear it all. So this story may go up, down, left, right, middle, sideways, but just take it as it is. And okay, so back to the story. So yeah, so I grew up in that kind of dynamic. My house was like a pretty standard house, nothing fancy. It was just I grew up in, like, I want to say the area that I grew up in, but I don't even know if whoever's watching the video is gonna know, so I don't think that's relevant. But like, just a standard house, nothing, just regular. And part of my childhood was rough. I grew up worrying about money. One, I guess that's where we're starting from. I grew up worrying about money. You know, there were times where we'd wake up and, you know, I would worry about what are we going to eat, because I was responsible for providing, for cooking. So, and I would go to my grandma and be like, okay, what are we eating today? And sometimes there would be nothing. Not because it just wasn't available, it's just because, well, I guess it wasn't available. Or like, she would say, okay, let's make this, or you can make this for breakfast today. And I would be like, but we already had that, and I don't want that. And she would be like, that's all we have to eat. And that's truly what we had to eat. And I would, even though I didn't want to make that, I would make it for breakfast, or like make it for the house. And inside of me, I was just like, this is not what I feel like we should be eating. This is not what I feel like we should be having. I feel like we should have enough resources. And I felt like we could have, done better just to eat better. So anyway, that's just like, I grew up feeling like I didn't have enough. I couldn't receive enough. I feel like I grew up thinking that money was such a difficult issue, that I grew up feeling like I was poor, pretty much. Like, I couldn't get the things that I wanted to get. I couldn't go the places that I wanted to go. I couldn't do the things that I wanted to do. I couldn't even eat the food that I wanted to eat. And when I had money, when I was spending the money, I was already freaking out inside of my head of how is money going to come back? Where am I going to get the money from? How am I going to replace this money? How is this money going to come back? I was a little kid. It's like, I don't have a job. And when I was really young, like really young, I used to have people dash me money, right? Because I was so cute. I was such a cute child. I had this bubbly spirit. I was happy. So I loved dancing. So people used to dash me money, and I used to spend the money freely. I would just be like, I would get the money now, and I would spend it, because I'm like, it's okay. The more money would come. But as I started growing up and I started really noticing that the people around me, their beliefs around money was like, money is hard to get. If you have this money now, you need to manage it very slowly, so that it will not finish. You need to use it wisely, because you don't know when next this money will come, because money doesn't just fall from the tree. All these things that we just grew up hearing. So when I started growing up to the age where I started realizing that, oh shit, apparently money doesn't just come like that. People don't just dash it to you. And you're supposed to save it and not use it and plan for your future and all of those things. I started to develop that lack mindset, like that money was just this thing that was so scarce. And that pretty much affected my relationship with money until recently, where I've really gone down deep to heal the deep-rooted money beliefs that I just picked up from my upbringing. And it's not the fault of the people that raised me, it's just how they were raised, right? And the beliefs they picked up as well. But those beliefs were limiting. They were blocking my money they were blocking, they created this weird relationship with money where I picked a partnership. I won't even sugarcoat this. I picked, pretty much picked, which is what a lot of people do. They pick a man just because of, this man can provide safety for me financially. He looks okay. He's doing well. I didn't even pick somebody who was super rich. I just wanted somebody who at least I know that, okay, you can provide for me financially and I can just be a woman, because I thought that was always required from a man, to just provide the money, go to work. It doesn't even have to be plenty, because I'm not like somebody who's like, oh, I need 50 billion things. No. If I have this, as long as I grew up learning to actually just know how to survive with what you have. So, but yeah, that aside. So that's just like, I grew up like with that mindset, like, okay, I can only get a man to provide for me. If I'm a woman and I need to get money, I either have to go and work at like a man is working, which I didn't want to do, or I needed to go and prostitute for money, which I also didn't want to do. So the safest bet for me was to just find a man that can do that for me. It doesn't matter if the man is, every other aspect of the man isn't aligned with my values. As long as the man could provide financially, I was like, okay, it's fine. I'm gonna just sit my ass here and be still. But yeah, so I learned that was not the way, and it was just acting out of lack and acting out of fear and acting out of, just lack, pretty much. And I learned what true abundance actually is, and I learned that money is energy. And if you're like afraid of money and you're like freaking out when you spend money, if you're spending money and you're like wondering how is this money going to come back, instead of thinking like, I'm spending this money now and it's going to come back in multiple folds, because money is pretty much just energy. How you feel about money is how money will feel about you. There's so many limiting beliefs that hold us from stepping into abundance. The abundance that's already been there, that God, the day that you were born, the day that you were birthed into this earth, abundance followed you into this earth, because everything is abundance. It's just the beliefs. If you grew up poor, or if you grew up lacking, or if you grew up not being able to do things you wanted to do, those beliefs will stay with you. And if you grew up seeing people around you worrying about money, like before, when they want to spend money, they are worried. When they receive money, they are happy. They are already thinking of, this money should not end because I don't know how it's going to come. When you see people do things and they be like, I did this for you, I bought this for you, and they feel like that money is everything. You just grow up with this kind of weird relationship with money. But so what was I saying? So, and I recently, I've got to heal that part of me and just let that lack mindset go. I realized it was just lack, that money is not this strange thing that just we need to work super hard for. We need to like sacrifice our happiness and our joy and do things we don't want to do and be with people we don't want to be with just because of money. And that money comes in different ways. Money doesn't just come from a job. Money doesn't just come from having a particular set of job. No, there's so many ways to receive money. That thing that people say that money doesn't fall from a tree. That you have to go to school, get a job, then start to receive money. That's not true. Money comes in different forms, multiple forms. Abundance is like, and money is not just like the physical paper money. Money is actually currency. We are the currency. Like literally, like me now, I am the bag. I am everywhere I go, money follows me, because it's not about how much I'm receiving. I can go somewhere, I can go places, and I won't even have to do anything. All the money that I would require to do a certain thing will just be taken care of. Somebody can just come around and be like, oh no, you can have this for free. You can have this for free. I give you this. That's money. That's abundance. You don't even need the physical cash, because everything will just be done for you. You just be taken care of like the baby girl that you are. So yeah, so that's just one aspect of my upbringing where like it just felt like I couldn't, like that limiting belief was just like, it was heavy, and it took a lot for me to actually break away from that limiting belief, that lack mindset, to let that lack mindset go. I really had to work really hard and like realize that abundance is my birthright. I was like, abundance is me. Abundance is everywhere. Everything that I could ever want, I could ever ask for, is already available. It's just the beliefs that money is bad, money causes evil, money causes people to act a certain way. Money doesn't do that. If money is making someone act a certain way, it's just because that person is already like that. It's just bringing out parts of them. And all the little things we subconsciously hold against rich people or people who have the money, feeling like, oh, you have this money, how come you are spending this money buying this rubbish when people are suffering, blah 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 blah. They don't owe anybody anything. The money is theirs to spend the way they want to spend. Judging people for the way they spend their money is just it's just keeping you away from stepping. You can't hate what you want. You can't be like, oh, I want money, but then you judge people for how they spend their money. You see rich people driving their cars, you're like, oh, you're like judging them, how they're buying this, how they're buying that. How about you go get your own money? How about you tap into your own abundance? Because it's available to you, it's available to me, it's available to all of us. It's just that we've just been programmed that, we have to work for money, we have to work hard and do things we don't like, and the universe doesn't just provide for you. But a baby girl, there's so many ways to receive money. Excuse me. There's so many ways to receive money. So many ways. The old system, the old way of like having to go to school. You know what? At this point, schooling system as well is also a scam. It's just a scam to just siphon people's energy, because your money, your energy is your currency. Once your energy is like lit, and everywhere you go, pretty much you just see opportunities to receive money. You just be like, oh, I could do this, I could do this, I could do that, and it may not even be the things or the old, like the past beliefs in your head of how to receive money. I have to go to school, do a program for so years, pay money to do the program, and then come out and then work to receive money. No, that's just like, there's so many ways to receive money now. It's just like, now that I'm out of that lack mindset, I'm just like, whoa. Like it just feels different. It's different on this side, it's just like money's everywhere. I am money. Money loves me and I love money. I don't, before I used to be like, no, it's okay. Like I would want things, but I would play it down because I'm like, subconsciously it's because of the money, Subconsciously it's because of the money, because I'm like, how am I gonna afford it? No, it's fine. I would literally put my own needs down because I'm like, I want the money to be enough for other people or for everybody else. But like if I wanted something, I'll be like, it's okay, I don't need it, I don't need to get it, when I actually wanted to get it. So I stopped doing those things, and I get what I want to get, because I know that every money that I spend, it comes back multiplied. It comes back to me. It just is like, there's no lack anywhere anymore. Oh my goodness. Like when you get out of lack mindset, you're just like, wow, there's money everywhere. Money is around me. I am money. I see money. Like everything I want, I get it. It just feels amazing, honestly. It just feels good to actually be here now, to be at this point where I'm no longer like thinking of like, if I'm spending this money, where is it going to come? If I spend money that I didn't expect to spend, I'm not worried that, oh, I just spend this so amount. No, I'm not doing that anymore. I'm just like, if I have to spend money, I'm grateful that I have the money to spend, and I know that more money is coming to replace that money that I just spent. It's just an amazing, I can't explain, like, it is an amazing feeling, because if you've been in that lack mindset, if you had that lack mindset for so long and you've had to work hard for money, I swear that you just do some research on how to get out of lack mindset. Read books. I read a couple of books. I don't remember them now, but maybe I will put them in the description box. I read a couple of books. I did a lot of practices. I journaled all the things I thought about money. Like what beliefs did I really have about money? Like some of them were like, money was bad, I don't need a lot of money. Boo, I like things. I like expensive things. Like I like to chop life. Let me not just, It's just I was just playing down my needs because of, like, I really like good life. And I had to write those things down, write the things I really thought about money, write down the things I thought about people who had money, rich people. And you know how we really have those little subconscious, oh, these people are just rich. I just saw these rich people and their things. They're just like beefing people for no reason. If you want to be rich, just say you want to be rich, boo. So I really had to work and I go through all the money blocks and all the things that was holding me back. So I had to go through all of those things. And you know what lack mindset causes? It causes you to feel inferior. When you see somebody who has more money than you, you feel kind of like, oh, this person has more money than me, so they're better than me somehow. There's just this inferiority complex. It makes you feel small, like you're just small because you have more money than me. When you go to someone who's very rich and you look at their house, you're just afraid to touch anything so you don't break it. When you go out and you don't have enough money, you don't want to do stuff so you don't spoil anything, so you don't have to pay for anything. It just creates a lot of, like, that lack mindset. It just creates a lot of stagnation, it just creates so many things. You limit yourself and put yourself inside this small box and feel like you put your head down because somebody has more money than you, just small money that they just have. It makes you put your head down. It makes you think you're less than. It makes you put your own needs down, think you're too high maintenance. It makes you be afraid to just do some certain things around certain people who are wealthy. It's just a lot. And I'm just grateful that I'm out of there, and I'm not. It just feels so good. It's just amazing. I'm just grateful. I'm just grateful to God. That's all I'm gonna say. That's all I'm gonna say. Okay, so I'm gonna move on to the second part of my childhood that wasn't so rosy. Abuse, sexual abuse. Trigger warning. Trigger warning. So I had growing up, oh my gosh, as a girl, I felt gross. Okay, so I had sexual I had sexual abuse. I was sexually abused at a young age, at less than 5 years old, and I was too young at that time to process it, right? It happened with somebody who was a family member, who I was supposed to be safe around, but apparently I wasn't safe around them. And I was too young to process the information. But parts of the incident stayed in my psyche. And I remember growing up, I would always have flashes of those memories come up, but I was never able to understand it. I was never able to, like, what did this happen? Am I just making this up? What's going on? It was just there. It was like a fragment of parts of myself was fragmented because I couldn't process it. And then growing up, right? Because there's go do something else. Anyway, so and having that part of me fragmented as a child, right? And growing up, I attracted a lot of attention. Just naturally, I attracted a lot of attention. And because I had a part of me that was fragmented, that wasn't sure, that was feeling some type of way, but was not able to articulate what I was feeling, I attracted that. And I grew up in a household that wasn't so secure, in the sense that there were people coming in and out of my house so easily and so freely. My house, we would just have a lot of people around. We would have my uncle's friends to be around, my auntie's friends to be around, and every time they were around, they were always eyeing me. So I grew up always running. I felt like I was the problem. I was like, what is wrong with me? Why are all these people always coming to me? Why are all these people always looking at me? I felt like I was the problem. I felt like I was wrong for being because they were looking at me, and they were, because I was a little child. I was like, why are you looking at me? What is it me that's causing it? Is it me that looks, do I look too fine? What's going on? I grew up not liking my body, not liking myself, not liking who I am, just because of all the attention that I got. So that made me so self-conscious that I didn't even want to show my body. I didn't want to be seen. I didn't want anybody to look at me. Like, if you literally looked at me, I would just be like, why are you looking at me? Like, it was terrible. And I literally I grew up having to defend myself constantly from boys. Constantly defending I would say maybe from the age of 11. Imagine, like, this was happening way before 11, but like, it's just, I would always have people constantly around me who just wanted me for my body. And at a young age, I learned just to defend myself from that. I was always running away from people. Like, now I'm surprised with all the attention that I got as a child from the opposite sex. I'm surprised how I grew up not like losing my virginity until I wanted to, and just getting pregnant and having kids, or like just having my life go totally sideways. Because I swear to you, I got so much attention, even from people who are not supposed to be. You know how you have uncles that will come to your house, all those relatives, they'll be eyeing you and be like, I would know. And I already know how to defend myself. I would just be like, no. You know how they will send you to someone's place, go here and go get something. And in my head, I'm really like, hey God, if I go there now, all these uncles that you're not supposed to be doing that, I would just be freaking out inside of me, like, oh my God, I'm going somewhere where people are going to be looking at me, people are going to be wanting to try to talk to me. And I couldn't share this with anybody at home because I just felt like I would be in trouble. Again, I feel like this was partly because of the trauma that happened when I was really little, and I wasn't able to process it. So that created some kind of shame in me, because I couldn't even say it out loud. I was like, is this right? And the funny part is, the person who was involved in that situation, I kept seeing that person. They would come to the house, and I didn't know if it was true or not. So I didn't voice it out. I wasn't able to say it out. I wasn't able to voice it out. So that created this divide inside of me where I felt like something was wrong. I was ashamed, I just carried that, and I kept attracting people who had that same energy in them, because that's just what attraction is. And they would just see this little fine girl, and they would just be like, be trying to pounce on me. And I hated that so much that my whole life, I just felt like, my whole childhood, I felt like I was constantly just running from men, older men, pervs. Let's just call them for what they were. Pervs who were trying to prey on this little girl, and she having to defend herself from older men, from even women. Like, it was that bad. I'm just grateful that it took me like not long ago for me to actually be able to like tap into the memory of the incident that happened to me when I was younger. And my grandmother, she's passed on now, she knew of that incident, and she really helped me. Now, when I connect to her, when I was trying to figure out, like, okay, this is not just, that situation didn't just, I didn't just make it up in my head. It actually happened, and I was trying to heal that part of me. And I connected with my grandmom, and she actually told me she was there, and she stopped it, but she couldn't share with me because I was little, and she just wanted it to go away. And she also had her own trauma, which also brought up shame for her. So she just wanted the situation to be put aside, because I was upset. I was like, why didn't you tell me? I grew up thinking that I was crazy, and I just made this up in my head, and this thing has been inside of me for so long, and I wish I had dealt with it so I wouldn't have attracted all of this, blah blah blah. But I got to understand that it just is what it is, and she was just doing her best to protect me. So I've never really shared this with anybody. Me sharing it on this video, I'm glad, so I don't have to keep carrying it on inside of me, and it can hopefully help you guys feel comfortable to share whatever the shit you've been through, and we can all heal from it because you don't have to carry it up and down. You get me? So yeah, it was just recently I actually said, you know what, this is it. This image, this memory that keeps coming up, I'm gonna deal with you now. And I did. I went to therapy. I got some clarity, and after that therapy, there were still more things I needed to heal that happened to me at a young age that I didn't even realize, I didn't even know. So my grandmom, we didn't have the best of relationship when she was alive, but now that she's passed on, we're like guys now. She's helped me a lot, and she's helped me heal too, and just trying to connect the dots of what the experiences that she went through herself. It's been really like amazing. It's been healing for me. So yeah, I grew up really self-conscious, just afraid to show my body, afraid to come outside, afraid to be seen, because I just felt like if I'm seen, somebody's gonna like me, and when somebody likes me, I won't be able to give you what you want, and I'll have to be running away from you, and I'll feel like I feel like I'm wrong for like that. And I was afraid to share with the people that I grew up with, because I feel like they would just blame me. They'll just like, they'll just blame me for it. That's what I felt growing up, because I could feel too that also I was a very sensitive child. Like, I was very intuitive. I could sense what people were feeling. So I could sense their own kind of shame too. And I can sense that whatever I would have told them was going to trigger them in a way that they would just look at me like something's wrong with you, or something like that. So I just did what I thought was best, and I kept it all to myself, and which was, I think it was the good decision. It was a good decision. Now that I look back, deep breath. That was a lot. That was a lot. So so I had lots of sexual advances thrown at me from just my auntie's friends who come over. These are grown men, they're having conversations with my auntie, and when she leaves, they're eyeing me. They're like saying, they're like, you look so pretty. Looks like, I know it's inappropriate, and I'm just like, please. And I don't say anything. I just I already know at that point, but inside of me, I just felt like, ugh, why me? Like, why do I have boobs? Why do I look like this? Why? Because these people just keep coming to me. It just created this self-hatred inside of me that I was fighting myself for being myself, that's what sexual trauma causes, honestly. It just causes, my experience, it caused this hate inside of me. Like something was wrong, it was my fault, it was my fault that people were looking at me and people wanted to touch me, and it was my fault that I looked pretty, and it was my fault that I had boobs. I didn't even want to grow, I just wanted to hide. So another way this played out was also finding a partner and staying with that partner for long, just finding somebody who I felt was safe, and just being with them, because I didn't want to go outside I didn't want to be reminded of like people wanting me or people wanting to be with me. I was like, no, I'm just going to find one man and I'm going to stick by him. Regardless, I'm just find somebody and stay with him, because this person feels safe. I don't have to be out there in the world and be trying to date people around, and then people trying to like me, and because I was wounded. Anyway, so yeah, I had to really go back and heal those parts of myself that were fragmented from those experiences that it was just tough. It was tough, and it wasn't fair to my inner child to have to go through those experiences. No, I had to, when I think about it now, she was fucking brave, because she had to fight grown ass men, fight to keep herself. And she didn't deserve to go through those experiences. It was not fair. It was not fair to her. My house wasn't a safe space. at all. People could come in and come out anyhow they wanted. We always had that though. It was kind of our thing. People would always just be around the house, but nobody really peeped that there was a little girl there and there were just boys always around, and why they were always coming around, and yeah. And she had to do it on her own. So she was very brave. My inner child is very brave. She stood her ground. She said no. She fought hard, and I'm so proud of her. And I'm proud of the woman that I am now. And yeah. Yeah. When I think about it, sometimes I just want to. Okay. So I'm going to share how I healed some of these parts. Like I would visualize myself going back to the situation. I'm just releasing energy, so that's why I burp. I'm a burper. I be burping all the time. So I would visualize myself going back to the situations where I had all these experiences, and I would visualize my grown self now being there now for my inner child and defending her, because she didn't have anyone to defend her. She didn't have anyone to ask her how she was doing, how was her day. That was not also part of my upbringing. It was just like a military zone. Nobody cared how you were doing. Nobody cared how, as long as you were fed, you had clothes on, that was it. Nobody even cared how my grades were. Like, nobody used to ask me, like, what did you learn in school today? It would just be me. I would go to school, come back. I would have to decide by myself if I was going to study or not. If I got grades, like report card, I wasn't afraid to even show it because nobody even cared to see it. It was just kind of like it was freestyle living. I had to pretty much raise myself. Like, when I started my period, nobody knew for like a year that my period had started, because I got my period at age 11. I already knew what to do. I already was prepared. I already got pads. I was fine. I was like, okay, period has started, no problem. I knew that's how fast I had to grow up, And also, so it was just me going back, visualizing myself, being there for myself now, and protecting myself and giving her all the things that she didn't receive at that age. That really helped me heal. That changed the story, changed the narrative that was built into my psyche. So that can be helpful for someone out there. Remember, just try to remember the memories. Visualize yourself being there for yourself at that young age, because like, imagine a little 6 years old having to run away from people, or having people trying to deceive her, trying to manipulate her just because they want to sexually abuse her, so. And also not having like somebody ask you, like, how are you doing today? Like, what are you feeling? Are you okay? Not just because you're dressed and there's food and you're eating. That's not just enough. Like, how are you doing? I never got that as a child. No one ever sat me down and said, how are you? How is school? What are you doing? How are you doing it? Is it good? Do you like this? Nobody even cared what I like. It was just like, and it's not, I'm not doing this, saying this to blame anybody, because the people who raised me, they did their best and they loved me, right? And it's just a reflection of how they were raised too. It's just generational. It just goes down. It is what it is. So I'm just saying it as it is. So another thing I wanted to say, it just is what it is anyway. So I never really got that like care and attention. It was just more like, and I felt like I lived in a military zone. I was going to say that I lost, my brother passed away. My mom passed away first, right? I lost my mom at a very young age. And I never really learned how to heal that grief, because the people around me also didn't even heal their grief. They didn't even know how to heal grief. It was just something that, okay, somebody passed away, and they did their best to distract me from it instead of actually letting me feel and heal it. It was just like, this happened, and like, just go. I remember when my mom passed away, that day I was dancing. I was so happy. It was like nothing happened because they didn't want me to be sad. I remember I didn't even see my brother because my brother was older than me, right? He's 3 years older than me. He was somewhere else. He was probably crying because he was older. Me, I was just somewhere. I was dancing. I remember there was like music, there was a party, and I was dancing because they were trying their best to make me okay, to make me not think about it, to just move on. But that didn't help me. That didn't help me because I didn't learn how to heal from losing a mom at a very young age. I didn't even know what that was. I was just like, oh, because my mom wasn't around for a lot of time. So when she came, I was really happy that my mom was around. It was like first time somebody was actually playing with me. First time I would actually go to sleep holding somebody. I remember when she passed away, I kept sleeping with pillow because when she was around, me and my brother would spend time in her room and would hold her till the next morning. And when she passed away, and I would hold pillow, but I never learned I never healed from that until now. I had to do all of this now that I'm grown. So, and the people too who raised me, they didn't know how to heal from their traumas. We just kind of bottled everything up and just moved on with life. And then my brother passed away. Also didn't. Ooh. It's getting spicy in here. Okay, my brother passed on. And I was also young too. This was before the age, all of this happened before age 11, before age 10. And I didn't know my best friend. My brother was my everything. He was my superhero. He was so smart. He was intelligent. He was fearless. He didn't fear anybody. He was amazing. I looked up to him, and he passed away. My best friend just disappeared, and there was nobody to talk to about it. Really, it was more like, he's gone now. So just everything is okay. That kind of situation. And there was nobody to really say, how does it feel to have your best friend just disappear? And I knew when my brother died, because the day he died, I woke up and I dreamt that I spoke to him and he was telling me, and we said goodbye, And then I woke up and I was in a different city. And I asked my auntie at that time, I said, did my brother pass away? And they lied to me and said, no, he didn't pass away. And I was like, but I had a dream. But we said goodbye and shit. It took a couple of days, for when my other auntie came to take me back home, for me to now get back home, to then realize that he actually had passed away. So what happened was, my house was very gloomy. It was weird. It was such a weird energy. A couple of days passed and everybody was kind of quiet and people would say sorry. And after a couple of days, I went back to doing chores and went back to being by myself. I didn't know how to, which everyone just did. They just kind of shoved it in and moved on. So that was a very traumatic experience for me growing up. Grief is a bitch, man. It will create this hole inside of you, and you just feel like, and you'd be afraid to lose people, and you'd be afraid to even make connections because you'd be afraid to lose them. You'd be thinking that one day they'll go. It's such a, like, to not heal from grief. Oh no. So I'm grateful that I'm finally able to heal from these things that I'm talking about. I'm only talking about them because I've gotten to a point where I'm like, okay, I'm good now. I'm healed from them. They don't hurt me anymore. When I think about them, I'm not like sad. I'm actually, I'm able to connect with my brother's spirit. I'm able to connect with my mom's spirit. It's kind of like, it's all good now. And I know how to heal from grief, and I know how important it is to heal from grief. So, and I'm just grateful to be here sharing this with you guys on YouTube. So what other trauma did I experience growing up? This is a big one. Like this one, I experienced physical abuse, like beating. Have they beaten you before? Do you know cow whip, like cow skin? They now twist it. It's called koboko. They twist it and make it into whips. I was whipped with that on my back multiple times. Like, I was whipped in my back, and my back was bleeding, and I had to go to school like that. And I had a white uniform, and I had to go to school, and I had blood stained all over my uniform. So I didn't just experience sexual abuse, I experienced emotional, physical, sexual, all of them. I experienced it. It was just rough. In my house, I was made responsible for the well-being of other people. I couldn't have friends come over. There was one time a friend came over, there were two. And I was like, oh, okay, you guys came over, let me make something for you. And my auntie was like, you want to go make food for your friends when we haven't eaten? You haven't made food for us. And she drove my friends away. I couldn't have friends come over. I grew up like, if people weren't happy, if I was happy, it's like, why are you happy? Like, what's going on? Like, I had to wake up. I would be sleeping, right? And my grandmother would open the door and wake me with cane, like, wake up, you're still sleeping at this time. Look at the time, you're a woman, you're supposed to be awake. Women wake up before anybody else, and they're already, so I would be asleep. I mean, inside my sleep, I would be shaking so that somebody would not come and wake me up so that I can go and cook and go and start the chores. My whole teenage years was just me looking after people, like, constantly. I couldn't sleep. If I was sleeping and my grandmother woke up and she found me sleeping, why are you sleeping in the afternoon? What did you do? They would say, like, what did you do that you're sleeping? Why are you sleeping? Why are you tired? What did you do that you're tired? Why are you this? It's like all the things that I would do. It was never, nobody ever said thank you. Nobody ever saw it. Nobody ever acknowledged it. I just grew up feeling like I was not enough. Like I was not enough. Like, no matter what I did, it wasn't enough, and something was wrong with me for wanting to be acknowledged for the things that I was doing. Because I would wake up and straight to chores. If I say no to something, or I say I will do this later, I will get reported. My story will be shared to the whole family, and I kind of have a big family. Most of them were not around. They were abroad, right? And we were in Nigeria. So my story will be shared to the whole world. This is what you did from morning till night. I was like, public humiliation. Do you get me? Have they publicly humiliated you before? Have they cut your hair with like a blade just because you wanted to do your nails? And it wasn't like I was a teenager already. It was just crazy. It felt like I was in a military zone. I don't even know how I'm seeing these things now. I'm laughing because at that time, it was not funny. Like, it was not funny. It was like I wasn't allowed to be a girl. I couldn't be girly because they were like, we don't want you to get pregnant. We don't want you to. Have you had your vagina spread open in front of people so that they can check if you've had sex? This was happening to me constantly. If I go out and I come back late, they will check me to see if I had sex outside. I can't believe I'm saying this. It was wild. They would check to see if I had sex. This wasn't just once, it wasn't twice, it was a constant thingy. If I spoke back, that was one of the biggest things I always got in trouble for speaking back. Like, in my house, you're not allowed to talk back. If somebody says something, whether they are right, whether they are wrong, whether it's correct, whether you feel some type of way, you're not allowed to show any emotion. You're not allowed to be angry and stomp your feet like, You're not allowed to do that. If you do that, you collect. You're not allowed to talk back. If you talk back, my grandma was just going to wait for everybody to come. She will start giving them. She will tell this one will give you their own. Either you collect beating from this one or physical abuse. The other one will come, she will give this one. Either you collect physical beating or physical beating or something else. Like, it was just like I couldn't be myself. It felt like I couldn't be myself. I was constantly working they will always work him in. They'll always say, we are doing this for your good, because when you get, so that you can find a man that will marry you, so that when you get to your husband's house, this and that. And I'll always be like, why are you doing this? I'll just get a maid. Why are you making me? And that will always piss them off. Right? That will piss them off and be like, you're talking back. I collect. Hey God, I still have scars in my body, right? My back, my leg of like whips, using to whip me just for like this. You just feel like the stupidest thing. The one about the school where I was whipped and I was bleeding. It was because I woke up and I was running late, and I said, or like, I was gonna do the dishes when I come back from school, if I could just do them, because it wasn't really too much, and I already did the dishes last night. It's just, I said I was going, and my grandma was like, nope, you must do the dishes now. And I was like, yeah, but let me just do it now when I come back. And my uncle came and my grandma was like, she's talking back at me. She's talking back. I told her to do this. She said she won't do it. And boom, that morning, lay down on the ground, my back, whip, cow skin whip on my back, and I was bleeding. And I still carry my bleediness. I still went to do the dishes. I still dressed up. I couldn't shower because it was put my uniform on, carry myself, went to school. When I got to school, I couldn't go to assembly. I remember I had to hide in the classroom, and one of my teachers came. I still remember. It was my intro tech teacher, and it was like, why are you not going to the assembly? And I showed him my back, and it was like, what did you do? Even at that time, I was still made to feel like something was wrong with me for receiving that kind of insane punishment, like for that kind of torture. I was still made to feel like I must have done something terrible for me to have received it, just because I said I want to wash the plates when I come back from school. So I was feeling shame at that moment, because I was like, wow, like all of these times it was just shame, because anything that I would do would be like, it's your fault. If somebody beat you, it's your fault. If somebody yell at you, it's your fault. If somebody shout at you, it's your fault. You can't even be upset because it's your fault. Why didn't you behave for them not to yell at you? Why didn't you behave for them not to beat you? So if you are receiving beating, it's your fault. It was crazy. And then I remember that day I was going home, right? I used to take the school bus, and some of the people behind the seats saw my back, and they were laughing at me. They were like, whoa, look at your back. You have all this mark. So they beat you at home. Yada, yada, yada. What did you do? I was feeling so ashamed. Like, oh my God, I must just be terrible for me to be. Imagine receiving beating and you're still feeling shame inside the beating that you are bad, just for like little things that doesn't matter. It's crazy, man. It's crazy. It's wild. Okay. Yeah. So I received a lot of beating for just stupid things that didn't matter. It would just be like someone's upset. Like they'll say, maybe they send you on an errand and you forgot to want something, and they're having a bad mood. They would take it out on me. They would take it out on me, literally. They would abuse me. The insults, the swears, different things would be said to me. And one of the things that was said to me when I was young, that really put like a dent inside my soul, that I had to work hard to release, was that I was responsible for the death of my mom and my brother. This was said to me by somebody who cared so much about me, but they were so hot and cold. Today they love me, tomorrow they hate me. Right? They were like, I wish you died and your brother was alive. So that made me feel like it was my fault. And they were like, you killed them, And they said it out of anger, but I was a little child, and it made me feel like something was wrong with me, or like I was evil, or I wasn't meant to be alive because I was the only person out of my family that was alive. My mom and my brother weren't alive, so I'm wrong. I should be dead. It was the painful one. It was really painful. It was painful. It was terrible. And then I went to boarding school, and boarding school was just like part 2 of my childhood, because in boarding school, don't take your kids, don't put anybody in boarding school. Boarding school is just terrible. I was young. I was in primary 4, I don't know what grade that is. I was in primary 4. I was like 8 years old or some shit. 9. I was in primary 4 when I went to boarding school. And boarding school, they woke us up at 6 a.m. They would hit the bed. They would hit the bed like 6 a.m. Pa, 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 you're just hearing banging. If you are still sleeping, they will hit you. Even if they hit you with the whip, that's none of their business. As long as you wake up and you're standing there and it's time to do devotion, and you see people just running, waking up out of fear. So from having that experience in my house, going to boarding school, having that experience, leaving boarding school, going back to having that same experience, it was just survival mode. I could never be in my body because every time something was expected of me. In boarding school, you're expected to wake up at the same time, go shower, go be here. And in boarding school, you know how people prey on people. Because I didn't have anybody, it was just me in boarding school, and I would wake up, I would say, let me go and do this. Before I know, somebody has sent me errand. One senior will come from nowhere, go and do this, go and do that. By the time it's time for me to shower, I'm already late. I was always late because some people always I was always late. They always send me a message, go here, do this, do that. I couldn't wait to get out of boarding school. I finally did. By the time I was about to get into JSS1, I left boarding school. Then I went home. Then when I went home, it continued. They were trying to make me this good and proper human being, and they were so tough and hard on me. It's like I couldn't do anything. It was just like, no, you can't do this. You have to be this. You have to be that. You have to be this. And then another part of that was really hard to deal with growing up was my grandma would always say, we don't want you to be like your mom. She would say, like, the year word. You just be like your mama. So that to me was them telling me that don't be like your mom. Don't be like your mom, because your mom apparently was stubborn and she didn't listen to anybody, and that's why she's not alive today, and it's all her fault. And now we don't want you to be like that. So I spent my whole life trying not to be like my mother, who I loved so much, because people around me were just like, you're like your mom. Of course I'm like my mom, duh, she birthed me, but I was so little hearing that constantly, like, don't be like your mom, because she's not alive now, she was never listening, just constantly. Like, it was hard to deal with. It was hard, feeling like I had to like push a part of myself away, or a part of myself was wrong. It was, or hearing that the person who birthed you was wrong, and it was a fault that she was not alive because she didn't listen to anybody, and I was following on the same steps because I wasn't listening. And I was like, I'm listening. I'm doing all the shit you guys want me to do anyway. What part am I still not listening to? So that part was hard. It was hard. It created this distance between me and my mother. I couldn't really see how she was supposed to be seen, because I would just be hearing stupid shit about her, and I would go to some people, and then they'll tell me she was the best person. One of my aunties, like, she was the best person, she was this, she was that. And my grandmother would be like, she was this, she was so stubborn, don't be like her. Another of my aunties would be like, don't be like your mother. I was like, she's not even here, she's dead. I couldn't even connect to my mom. That's how terrible it was. It was crazy. So I'm still bringing up stuff. There's so many shit that I went through growing up. It was like my house is a jungle, survival of the fittest. It was crazy, like, just growing up, like, having to take care of people. Like, in my house, I couldn't be sitting down and watching TV alone by myself. Why are you watching TV? Have you done something? Shouldn't you be doing something? Have you cooked? Have you cleaned? Have you done this? Have you done that? Like, I couldn't just be. So just say, I would have to either go outside. I loved drawing, right? In school, I loved writing too. I used to write when I was younger. So I would go and write and just be outside. The only time I felt like I could be was in the evening, when everybody was chilling, and they would, we would come outside and sit under the stars. And that's the time I only felt like I could be myself. And I would go and sit somewhere, it was interesting. But as I started getting older, I got to a point where, okay, I was about like 15. I started to feel like, okay, I was free because I was done with high school and it was time for me to get into university. And at that time, it was left to me to figure out where I wanted to go and what I wanted to do. So I got some time to go to a school and go check it out. So that was the first time I actually left the house. I think I stayed for about a week or 2 weeks. That was the first time I left home to be like, I'm going somewhere. And after I came back from that trip, they didn't really care what I did, or nobody was asking me, did you have sex? Let's come and check your vagina, blah, blah, blah. So after the moment, I felt free, like, oh, okay, I feel like I'm free now. I slept out of the house for the first, I couldn't even go to people's birthday parties. It was that insane. If you have to go to a birthday party, you have to plan it. You have to do this. Yeah. But after that time, I felt free, like, okay, I could do this now. I could kind of, have some certain freedom. So, and then my grandma was older. At that time, she wasn't so hard on me anymore. There was nothing to be hard on. I was already grown at that point. I was 15. I already kind of went somewhere for 1 week and came back. So I remember then I used to help her do her nails. And I used to help her do her nails. When I would go out, I would buy her stuff. Yeah. Oh, okay. I'm gonna switch my crisscross. So yeah, these are just some of the things that I went through growing up. They were really traumatizing for me. They were traumatizing as well. I was in the physical, the sexual, the emotional abuse. Not really having somebody to nurture you, just kind of growing up like whatever. Not having someone to care what's going on inside of your head. Excuse me. Feeling neglected, like you didn't, feeling neglected, rejected, and grief, not knowing how to heal from grief, not having anybody to talk to about your emotions, feeling like I had to do everything on my own. There was an incident too that was really traumatic for me. There was this boy in my street who obviously liked me, and I was younger, he was older, and there was a time that my auntie walked in on us. It was late. I was doing dishes. Actually, I was doing dishes for the next morning because I had to school the next morning, and he was at the back of the house and he was just talking. There's no more talk. And my auntie came. She knocked on the front door and we panicked, right? We freaked. I was like, okay, you go through this door and I'm going to go to the front door and open the door for my aunt. But my aunt took the other way around. So as I was about to open the door, to let him out, she came in and she saw all of us. She saw both of us and she freaked out. And I freaked out. I was like, oh shit, I'm screwed. And nothing sexual was happening. Nothing was happening. We were just talking. And then my grandma woke up and she was like, what's happening? Because my auntie was like, she yelled at me, right? And I was freaking. My grandma was like, tell me, it's okay. I'm not gonna, just tell me. And I told her. And the next morning, before I even woke up, all hell broke loose. They had gone to the boy's house and created a scene. And then the whole street now thought that the boy had sex with me. So in that, apparently that was what I did. That was what so I had to, and I was punished for that incident, and nothing even happened. And I wanted to explain to them. I remember I was pulling my other auntie, right? I was pulling her and I was like, let me just explain to you. Nothing happened. They even checked me to see if I had sex and they saw that nothing happened. But still, just because they wanted to prove a point, I guess, they allowed the narrative to go on that he had sex with me. And the whole street, the whole neighborhood thought that I had sex at that young age, and I didn't. And I had to walk around hearing people's, because I can read people's minds. If you're sitting close to me and you have a thought about me, I promise you I can hear that thought in my head. If either I feel it or it just come like a voice. And I had to do the walk of shame for so long, having people have all these thoughts about me that were not true. And I was punished. I was made to cut my hair as a way of punishment, you know. And that was a way of punishment for me. If I did anything, they're just like, you look too pretty, go and cut your hair. You know, it's like my femininity was just something that I couldn't embrace because it was just wrong, apparently. You know, so that was really traumatizing for me because it was just unfair. Yeah, and all of these experiences affected my sexuality, how I saw myself, what I thought about sex, and how I thought about, like, you know, being sexual and being free. I just couldn't do it. It's just now that I'm able to even come to the camera and speak up, because I was punished for speaking up. I was punished for saying apparently if I say something, well, you said the wrong thing, punished. If I dress a certain way, punished. If I want to go here and I'm my hands are exposed, you punish. It was like everything I did, it felt like I was punished for it. So I just grew up like with all of this inside of me, and I grew up as an adult that was afraid to express herself, that was afraid to be, that picked friendships and picked relationship out of trauma bonded with so many people, and in my head they were like the perfect people for me. But yeah, I'm grateful that I healed from all those things. I'm grateful that I'm no longer trauma bonding with anybody, you know. I'm grateful that I healed the grief and I went through the grief. Grief creates, and the space that the people that passed on left. I'm grateful that I'm able to fill that space with loving things now. I honor their memory and they're still with me. One of my auntie at that time has passed on too, and when she passed on, she was the one that in this last incident that I just described, she was one of the chillest people. She wasn't so strict with me. She was the less strict one. She was kind of strict, but it wasn't so bad. It was like maybe like 60%, while the other one was like 120. 120. So when she passed on, it was really hard on me because she was like a mom to me as well. You know, she raised me. I was there with her. I raised her kids. They were like my brothers. She has 2 kids. So yeah, I'm just grateful that I'm able to like speak about this, and I've healed from all these things. They don't define me anymore. Before I was shy. I couldn't speak really. I just put my head down, you know. And I was with a partner who liked that about me, because that partner was also wounded too. I was wounded. And they just wanted somebody who was quiet, who didn't speak much, who was obedient, who was submissive to a fault, who would just be like, okay, who was people pleasing, because I grew up doing that. People pleasing the people in my house just for me to have fresh air. You know, making sure that everybody's okay, putting other people's needs before me. Like, before I go anywhere, before I do anything, I have to make sure that I have cooked. I was responsible for cooking breakfast and dinner, right? If I was home, lunch, not so much, because people would just eat whatever, like, for lunch. But like in the morning, I would have to make breakfast. If I go out, I was older by this time. I was like that 15 years old age. Like, I would go out, when the time is 4 p.m., I'm really like freaking out. I have to get back home because I have to go make dinner. Because if I don't make dinner, I'm in trouble. I won't be allowed to go out again. I'll be out, and I'm thinking of how to get back home, because if I go home late, if there's traffic, if there's something, that's another problem for me. You get me? So I just grew up in survival mode and always anxious, never in my body, just always like freaking out because I don't want to get in trouble. I don't want to get punished. I was still getting in trouble anyway, even as I was freaking out trying to get home on time. Shit was still happening, you know. It was just a traumatic childhood upbringing, honestly. Oh, I'm just grateful to be out of it. And I'm grateful that I'm here getting this off my chest, because I don't have to keep it all to myself, really. I don't have to keep it all to myself. No, I don't have to hide. I'd have to. And that's one thing about trauma. If you don't speak on it, if you don't speak it out, it will just be controlling you from inside. And that's one thing. I realized that I still had some shame from the experiences that I had in my childhood. And there's no reason for me to be ashamed. And I'm not going to let that shame start to control me and control the way I act. So I was like, Spirit was like, just go and share it on YouTube and let it go. And that's what I came to do. I came to share it out with you guys so that I can be free and you guys can also be free too. We can all be free together, you know? Yeah. There's something else I want to share. So I had a near-death experience. That was pretty much the beginning of my healing journey. It triggered my whole spiritual awakening. So during childbirth, I died for like a quick mini second, and then I came back and I was like, what the fuck? I mean, nobody, to them I passed out, but to me, I know what it is now. You know, that I went to the other side pretty much, and I pretty much saw how my life was going, and then I saw that my life was supposed to go another way, that whatever I was doing was not what I was meant to be doing. So that triggered my whole spiritual awakening. I started to heal. I started to remember what I actually came here to do, not what I was doing. And I started to realize that all the things and the way I felt were just from my trauma, and I didn't have to keep carrying that on. I started to work on everything, from grief to the lack mindset to all the abuse. I started therapy, I started meditating, I started doing everything. I started meditating, which was like the biggest thing. Obviously, once you start meditating and you connect to your inner self and you awaken that part of you and you keep doing it, it will just keep guiding you to all the things you need to do. And they will be triggering as fuck because you need to feel those things to heal them. But yeah, the whole near-death experience, I feel like that's a whole different video. That's a whole different video of like, yo, when I tell you that, it was like whole experience. I woke up and it was just like my life. I was like, who put this? What shit is going on? I just had a baby, right? I felt like I should be happy, but I wasn't feeling happy inside at all. I was feeling just off. I was feeling like this is not it, you know? And I didn't fully remember everything. They started to come slowly. I started to integrate the things that I had seen on the other side. They started to come slowly, and I got more understanding and understand that this life, I already knew. I agreed to all of this shit before I even came here. I knew all of this shit, and that helped me, you know, really forgive the people that hurt me. Because life just is. It's a game. You just have to remember your part. Everybody has their role to play. The person that hurt you now, in a previous lifetime, you probably, you know, did something. It's a contract. You guys agreed and signed that contract before you came here, that they were going to do this to you so that this can happen, And everything that happened in my childhood happened for a reason, right? It happens so that I can go through that experience, heal from it, and also help other people heal too. About how life really is, and how life is a game, and how everything you do is you're in charge of your life. And you know, if you lose a child today, your child is waiting for you in the spirit world. When you get there, you see them and they're being taken care of, and nothing is wrong, and everything works out just the way it's supposed to work out, and life just is. Yeah, I'm gonna make a whole separate video. Yeah. Or maybe I should just talk about it now since I'm already going. Okay, fine. I'm gonna just talk about it. But I'm gonna need some water. Yeah, Spirit wants me to just talk about it. So pretty much the gist is, when I had my near-death experience, I didn't fully integrate everything at once. When I woke up, I just felt like I was in a bad movie, like somebody put a bad movie on, and I just wanted to go there and change it. But I couldn't change it right away. I already had a baby. I already had this life that I thought was, you know, the life I wanted. But, you know, and my brain couldn't really grasp what just happened to me. It was like, did I just imagine all of this experience? Because I remember when I was I was having my child. It was surgery, right? It was through C-section, and I remember seeing all these women on top of me. It was just like plenty women, old women. They were just like on top of it. Was my ancestors, right? They were just on top of me, and I remember that was it. And I remember the last thing I said was, I can't do this anymore. I can't do this anymore. And I passed out. So I passed out, and I went to the other side, and there was all these plenty of women, and they were just sitting me down and gisting me like, okay, this is not what you're supposed to be doing. My ancestors were with me. They were just like kind of showing me like, okay, this should happen. This is what you're supposed to do. This is where you're supposed to go. So basically I got the understanding. But when I woke up, right, I woke up to my child beside me, and I just felt like, what? I didn't fully understand it yet. I didn't fully. I know other people's near-death experience, you know, they get everything while it's happening, but mine wasn't like that. Mine was just like, what just happened? What's happening now, and what happened before? Like, I felt so out of it. It's crazy. I felt like, and I thought maybe I was like depressed, or no, I wasn't depressed. I thought I had postpartum depression because I was just off, but I wasn't depressed. It was just, you know, it was just me trying to integrate, you know, what I had seen in the other side and life now. And spirit guided me to smoke cannabis. Immediately I started smoking cannabis, it was like boom, my third eye opened. All the things that I saw and on the other side, everything came back to me. It was like boom, your life, this is what you're supposed to be doing. You're not having fun. Pretty much spirit was just like, you've gone through so much trauma in your life that you need to heal from them now, so you can start living the life that you want to live. You need to start having fun. That's the first thing. All your energy, because I grew up using all my energy to serve, to give, to work and work and work, that I didn't even know how to have fun. I was such a boring person before, like literally. I don't know. The friends that I had, I don't even know how they coped with me, because I was literally boring. I wouldn't go out. Like, no, I would not go out. Literally, I'll be home. They'll be going to party, and they'll be like, let's go, Phoenix, let's go. I'm ready. I'm like, I'm sleeping, please, I'm going to my boyfriend's house. I wouldn't do stuff I wanted to do. I would put them off on a hold. So spirit was just like, you need to start having fun. And cannabis was one of the ways that I actually started to have fun. So when I started to smoke cannabis, right, one, it helped me to get into my body. I started to feel my body for the first time. I was into my body. My third eye was open. I was meditating. I was traveling. I was astral. I was traveling to other dimensions. I was getting more understanding. TikTok was so helpful that, you know, anything I would like, I need to learn, I would just open TikTok and bam, it would be like, this is a synchronicities everywhere, you know. So that process was, and then cannabis really helped me start to have fun, to laugh, to be. That was when I started to experiment with my hair. I started wanting to do things. I was happy, and then I had to get off cannabis to actually now, say, I need to do this on my own. I don't need to be codependent. I don't need to be dependent on cannabis anymore. But cannabis was very helpful because it helped me actually see the other side and get comfortable. You know, just my third eye opened like quick, and I was able to start getting intuitive downloads and start to get messages and all of that. You know, and then, so I guess why spirit wants me to share this is for some of you who have been feeling like you may need to smoke. Don't feel like it's something wrong. There's nothing wrong with cannabis, smoking cannabis. This thing has been going on. The ancestors has been working hard to ensure that we have access to it so that it can help us heal. This shit has been helping people heal for a long time, for a very, very, very long time. So don't feel like there's something wrong with you if you're feeling like you want to smoke cannabis. For me, when I wanted to smoke cannabis, the partner that I was with at that time was like, are you crazy? You want to smoke? So I felt like, oh shit, maybe something's wrong with me that I want to smoke. You know, so I couldn't even do it then. But then I got the courage when I was able to move out of that situation. I was just like, fuck it, man, I'm gonna go do it. So I started smoking, and I'm so glad that I did. It just helped me begin. It was very helpful to begin my spiritual journey. Like, enhanced my meditation, made me happy, made me laugh, made me like feel my emotions, and made me actually laugh. Like, I realized that before I started smoking, I wasn't even laughing, I wasn't happy. I was just going through life like, no, I wasn't happy. And then, so anyway, that message is for somebody. Go and smoke cannabis, okay? I have this video on TikTok where I said, if you feel like you wanna go on, your ancestors are trying to talk to you. And it's true, they really be trying to talk to you. Anyway, so, and also the gist of life is an ascension journey. It's like a playground. Nobody dies. If you die now, if I die now, I just go to somewhere else. There are other timelines, other dimensions happening the same time as this timeline is happening. Another thing, somebody now can be your husband in this lifetime. In the previous lifetime, they were probably your like slave owner. They probably killed you in that lifetime. But in this lifetime, if you, based on the traumas you've experienced, they will be your husband. And it's now your responsibility to heal so that you can go and find your divine counterpart, your own soulmates. Life is just the game. Life is actually interesting. Like, if you understand how everything plays, you realize that is when you don't know the game, that's when life will be dragging you left and right. It will drag you. It would But once you start to remember that all of us, we agreed to all of these experiences we are having now. We knew we were going to have the experiences. I knew before I came that I was going to have all the trauma and shit. Before I came here, I knew all of it. And there's no judgment. There's no right or wrong way to live life. There's no, I did a lot of like past life regressions, and that helped me work on a lot of my fears. The things I was afraid of in this lifetime were things that really traumatized me in previous lifetimes. Like one of them was like me dying in a previous lifetime, died of drowning. I was afraid of water, and also like explosion. I was afraid of fire too, because there was one where incident where it was a really long time ago when they were burning witches. And a lot of lifetimes that I've had, I've always used my spiritual gifts. So there was one of them where that happened, and I realize now I'm always afraid of gas, like to light gas and to so you guys, tap into your spirituality, tap into your past life, tap into the Akashic records. The Akashic record is what they call the book of life. It has everything that has happened, that will happen. It's all in one. It's there. The information is available. So once you're able to tap into the Akashic record, you're able to see your soul, the journey that your soul has been through, the experiences it has had, the most significant ones, the skills too that your soul has, the skill that you're like, the things that kind of follow your soul through lifetimes, right? You know, you're able to see those things and all the bad things too. So you're able to like release them and let them go, instead of carrying them with you and carrying them around. And also for people who have done abortions, don't judge yourself. Nobody cares, literally. I know like life here on earth, we're so like right, wrong. You need to be this or you're this. It just is. There's bad, there's good. And our job is to balance it. Just to remember who we are. If you remember who you are, literally, you won't be scared of anything. You won't be scared to speak up. So I'm very grateful for my near-death experience and my spiritual awakening, because I remembered who the fuck I am. I remember that I wrote this shit before I came here. I agreed to all of this shit, and life is mine. And if I don't take charge of my life, somebody else will. And that happened for so long until I was like, it's my turn now, bitch. It's my turn to take charge. There are people are always doing things to manipulate our energy, distracting us with media wants, buy this, do this, do that, do this, do that. No, when truly we're the master of our own destiny, we are the master of our own life. We have free will, freedom. And also religion is going to burst some people's bubble, but it's fine. Your bubble should burst, because it's better than living in a delusion. Religion and the story that Jesus Christ is the only way to find God, that's some bullshit. Jesus Christ was an ascended master, and he created this whole religion around him to try to put people in a box so that they feel like they are not able to find God without reading the Bible and going to church and going through without Jesus Christ. You can find, so you see God, let me take this, right? God is like this circle here, right? And is available to everybody. And this circle here is inside of you. Whether you find him through Jesus Christ, whether you find him going through a Babalawo priest, whether you find him through a Muslim, it doesn't matter. You can pretty much find God anywhere you look, because God is in everything that we look. It's inside of you and is a reflection of everybody else. It's the same source energy that created this whole shit that we're in now. This whole life game that's God. There's no, you see how, religious trauma has really fucked a lot of people up, like, where they don't know if like their spirituality, African spirituality, has been lost because of colonization. We were not doing the wrong thing, like being spiritual and having deities. Those are just ascended masters. They've ascended, and they are now there. That energy is now there to guide the other generations that are coming, to guide the human race. There's nothing wrong in that. I may have to make separate videos for these things to go deeper, because this video is about like 1 hour. It's long. So yeah, so if you guys have questions and want to know more stuff, just leave it in the description box and in the comment section, and I will make videos explaining you guys, explaining more things to you guys. What else do I want to say? I think that's enough. Spirit said that's it. I'm gonna just keep it a buck, because life is fun. Actually, life is not supposed to be hard and like suffering. No. There's the ego. That's the ego that creates suffering. The ego just creates plenty of things. Creates a lot of suffering, creates a lot of wanting and needing and going. And this life, we've been brainwashed. Humanity has been brainwashed to the point where we seek things outside of us for happiness, when the true happiness, the true peace lies within. Once you're able to connect with your inner being, you found God, you found peace. That inner voice, that inner being, it doesn't judge you, it doesn't criticize you, it doesn't look back, it doesn't look sideways, it just keeps looking forward, wants the best for you, wants the best for everything around you. Isn't that what Christ preached? Christ just says, treat your neighbor as yourself. So if you recognize God inside of you and you treat yourself well, there's no way you're going to harm the next person. There's no way you're going to treat the next person bad, because you already treat yourself like, you're already treating yourself as God. So it's very important for people to start meditating now and start realizing that there are other ways to connect to God. It's not just by going to church. Most people just go to church. I went to church. I was raised as a Christian, and my family still practiced spirituality. But there was this divide, like you couldn't do both at the same time. You couldn't be spiritual. You couldn't be spiritual and be a Christian at the same time. You can pretty much do whatever you want. You can be Christian, you can be a Muslim, you can be spiritual, you can decide that I'm just going to keep meditating and that's the way I'm going to communicate to God. Just find source. Source energy lives in all of us. Source, God, is the same thing. God, He created everything. And I'm saying He because that's what I like to say she, because this source is nurturing. It's not this he. I like she instead. It's nurturing. It's this nurturing spirit that just loves us constantly. So find source is within. Source is within. Okay? Pretty much. Source is within. And life is not hard. Life is easy. Life is actually fun. Like here is the playground, and we're not supposed to be afraid of dying. I think that's another big thing. We're so afraid of dying. Everybody wants to be so proper. Like so that when I die, hell and heaven is made up. Like, you know, when they say when you die and you go to fire and God will punish you. Think about it. Does that make sense? How is God going to punish you after you have died? He will not come and punish you on top. That makes no sense. That's just fear tactics. Like religion, it's also fear. Everywhere you look in the corner of religion, fear tactics to keep people asleep and keep people stuck, and to just keep feeding the delusion, you know, feeding the ego, feeding, like, it's literally just feeding off people's energy. Because once you're able to like control people with that fear, they're able to do anything. They're able to do anything because they're afraid. They're running on fear. That's what's happening a lot in the society right now. This video is taking a whole different turn, but I'm gonna just keep going with it. And I'm gonna try to do this timestamp thingy so that people can skip to whatever part they need to skip to. If not, maybe things. So the whole hell and hellfire thing is a bloody lie. There's no, if you die, you're not going to now enjoy your reward in heaven. And you create heaven on earth. You decide on this earth whether it's heaven you want to live in or whether you want to live in hell. It's your choice. Life is heaven and earth together. Which one do you want to live in? If you say, okay, I'm going to live in fear, and I'm going to live in lack, and I'm going to live in suffering, and I'm going to keep feeding the ego and you're just living in your own hell. Somebody else can be living in heaven just right beside you. Life just is. Like, it's important to understand. If you understand the game, you are just free. Like, you are free. You're no longer stuck and living in the matrix anymore. You're free. Okay. I'm gonna go now. I really enjoyed making this video. I'm so glad I got to share with you guys. And I should put some of myself out there online, you know, just so that I don't have to keep it all to myself. Just share some of it. It feels good. It feels good to put some of myself, a lot of myself out here on YouTube for the collective. So I hope this video finds you guys well. I hope it finds you well, and I hope you get what you need to get from it. I hope it inspires you to start to heal some of these traumas, and inspires all of us to start talking about the traumas that we went through, we experienced as kids, so that we can do better for the next generation that's coming. So we don't have to pass it on. We can break every shackle that has been shackling for a while now. Yeah. I'm seeing you in the next video, okay? Peace out.